All right.
It's like the busiest day of the year at the market.
Good evening.
7 this morning.
How's everybody doing? Good to see a big crowd. We have 3 special guests to help get our meeting kicked off tonight. We've never done this with triplets before. We've done twins, but we've never done triplets. So we've got Brody, Jax, and Carter, and Paxson, and they're going to open our meeting for us. The 3 of them go to the Shawnee Middle School, and they're in the 6th grade. Their mom is Kim Paxson, dad is Kevin Paxson. And with that, you ready to do it? I think you're up first, Carter.
Welcome to the City Commission meeting. I now call this meeting into order.
Good job. Stand up here. And we get a picture. You bet. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so we will call the roll.
Matthews?
Here.
Ingalls? Here. Ball?
Here.
Rutherford?
Here.
Acorn? Richter?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. And Pastor David Henry with Higher Ground Church is going to do the invocation for us.
Let us pray. Gracious God and Heavenly Father, we stand before you today, humble creatures of your creation, and we seek your wisdom and guidance in this assembly for our commissioners as they conduct the business of the people and of this city. We pray that you will give them wisdom, courage, and strength to do this work. And Father, at this season, as we come to the end of a year that has been very challenging in many ways, our hearts are grateful for the many people who have come together and worked together through some of the most difficult days and weeks and months this year to rebuild our city, to rebuild our people as we move forward. And Father, we want to say with a heart filled of gratitude at this season of Thanksgiving that we thank you not only for the gift of life and the many blessings that you bestow upon us each day, but Father, we're thankful for the many people who serve this city in our public works, our emergency and city staff, and so many others. God, we are grateful for them, but we're also grateful for the men and women who are not able to do Thanksgiving the way we do, because they are in many places around this world defending and protecting this great nation so that we can have a day of Thanksgiving. Father, we pray that you will be with them in these difficult days. We thank you and we give you praise and glory in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. You join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item we're going to do here is a presentation of certificate of recognition for Shawnee City Clerk staff, and Lisa, I think that's us. Okay, so we've got a certificate of recognition of the presented to Instalación this 20th day of November 2023 on behalf of the City of Shawnee to acknowledge the designation as a Master Municipal Clerk. And I'm going to read a statement here prepared by the City Manager to give you more information on this because this is really cool. So the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government that exists throughout the world. The functions of the city clerk necessitate a thorough knowledge of municipal law, procedure, administration, and interpersonal relations. The Master Municipal Clerk program is an advanced continuing education program that prepares participants to perform complex municipal duties. The Master Municipal Clerk program is the second and most advanced of the two professional designations granted by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. The program has an extensive and rigorous educational component and a professional and social contribution. The Master Municipal Clerk applicant must demonstrate that they have actively pursued education and professional activities. They are also required to remain informed of current socio-political, cultural, economic issues that affect local governments and municipalities. The City of Shawnee clerk, Instalación, is the first clerk in Shawnee to have attained the Master Municipal Clerk level of certification. Instalación is one of 7 Master Municipal Clerks within the state of Oklahoma, so a very elite group. Therefore, it is appropriate that we recognize the City of Shawnee City Clerk, Ms. Lisa Lacion, for her designation as Master Municipal Clerk. Very cool. Susie can do it too. Stay there for Susie. Very good. And anything you'd like to say? No. Very, very impressive. Okay, item 2 is citizen participation. I do not have the sign-in sheet, but I think it's on its way. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, first person here looks like it's Tara Wallace. There she is. How you doing tonight, Tara? Doing well. You move that however you need to.
All right, thank you. Good evening, my name is Tara Wallace, and it is my pleasure to be standing before you all today. I am a resident in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and was born and raised here. I work for the Absentee Shawnee Housing Authority as their Community Relations Coordinator under the Community Development Department. It is our goal to provide excellence in service by being committed to improving the housing conditions related to social, education, and economic aspects which affect the overall living conditions of the Indian community. On June 1st, 2023, we were awarded the Resident Opportunity and Self-Sufficiency Grant, also known as the ROS Grant. This is designed to assist residents and make progress towards economic and housing self-sufficiency by removing educational, professional, and health barriers our residents face. March of this year, our department has had the wonderful opportunity to partner and serve along like-minded people at the Potawatomi Go Blue Zones Project Built Environment Committee, where we work to invest in a happier, healthier, and more accessible community. This year, our department has joined the Built Environment Committee in monthly meetings, multiple walking audits, and our most recent was the Mayor Bolt's Sidewalk Safari on Saturday, November 17th, where it brought together the community, promoted health, and exploring sidewalks all the way from the Good Neighbor Friendship House on Main Street to the Shawnee Mall on North Kickapoo Street. I attended the first 45-minute walk from the Good Neighbor Friendship House to the Sequoia Elementary Public Schools on East Independence. It was a pleasant walk to the school because of the access to sidewalks. I didn't feel like I was interfering with traffic, and I felt safer knowing that the crosswalk buttons were available for us to use. Having safer sidewalks is important to me as an employee at the absentee Shawnee Housing Authority because we have residents who live within walking distance near schools such as Pleasant Grove Elementary School, which is only a couple blocks away from our main office location, located on Main Street and Kimberly Street, where we see kids waiting for their buses and walking to and from school throughout the year. Having safe routes to walk or bike comfortably to school or to one of our amazing updated parks or even to the local grocery stores is vital to our community, especially for those who depend on the sidewalks on a day-to-day basis. I drive up and down Highland Street multiple times a day and get to witness the sidewalks being used more and more since they have recently been put in. This to me is a healthier Shawnee, and I love this city, and I love having the opportunity to work alongside people who are invested in a healthier Shawnee. Thank you guys for all that you do. It's been a pleasure seeing the sidewalks and the amazing new parks, and thank you for your time today, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. Next up is Don Dudley. How are you, sir?
Very good.
And you
Thank
can
you,
move.
Your
You can
Honor.
move that mic up if you'd like. There
Thank you,
go.
sir. Appreciate all the work that the commissioners, the mayor, and all the employees do for Shawnee, for our citizens. And I just wanted to ask a question, if there's any efforts to bring illegals to the city of Shawnee. I've been hearing this, and I just wondered if there's anything true to it. That's all my comments.
All right. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Looks like next is Kelly Mulligan. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Mayor, Commissioners, I'm just here to show my support for Teresa Cody running for Ward 3. My husband is a lifetime resident here. He's 63. We recently relocated to downtown about 3 years ago, and Teresa was one of the first people that I met that welcomed us downtown. She's very active within the community. She's been a lifetime resident. She also has had her business for 32 years and has lived downtown for 30 years. She's helped with the downtown.
One of the rules
Oh, I'm sorry.
comment is there can't be any political statements.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Our campaigning.
Okay.
It's
It's
okay.
kind of hidden in there, so.
Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, strike all that.
Was there anything else you wanted to say? Not related to
No.
it? Okay,
No
and that's
other- yeah,
fine.
that's
But
fine.
thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
And let's see, looks like the last one, we have a short list tonight. Rob Morris. Microphone is yours, Rob.
Good evening. Tonight, a couple things. On the feeding downtown, it seems real easy that a birthday party, which is a private party, doesn't need a permit to go feed kids at a birthday party, where public feeding does need a permit. And here's where we get into the problem with permits. Right now, it says a special use permit, which means no 60 days in advance, no insurance, no health department code that they have to follow when they're cooking food for people, so we don't know actually what's being fed to people. If we made it a special event permit, that goes away. It goes back to 60 days, you have to have insurance, and the health department, I'm sure they would have to be up to code on that. So I'm hoping there's some things we can do to fix that, because right now, the feeding schedule downtown is not going to change. Nothing we're doing here is going to change that. We made it to where you can walk in the same day, get a permit, and go feed. That's what we were trying to stop, was the feeding down there. So, next on the list, Mr. Mayor, do you know who owns Vocan LLC? Mr. Mayor, did DHS move to 22 West Main so that someone's rent would get paid or to be closer to the HRC? Hint, both can be true. Mr. Mayor, will the city attorney write the MOU between the city and DHS for services rendered at the HRC? Now let's jump to the handbook and the code of ethics, which is kind of funny because y'all don't follow any of this stuff already. Handbook meetings, it's letter D, page 5, agenda, only topics, and goes on and says that in other places. So my question is, Mr. Mayor, are you about to censor everybody again to where we're only allowed to talk about agenda items? It says that several times in there in the 47 pages of that handbook. I'm hoping everybody here read it. Let's see. When it comes to the ethics and things like that, does infidelity with a married employee by a commissioner fall under this code? Or is that not a big deal that that's unethical? Does a commissioner voting to fix a water main in front of their money-making apartment building fit the code of ethics? Will we ever actually follow the Oklahoma state law of ethics? We haven't yet, not as a whole. Some have, most haven't. Let's see, and lastly, you have this code of ethics that everybody's going to have to sign. What's the penalty? There's not one. Nothing's going to happen if anyone doesn't follow this piece of paper, because you can't be kicked out. You can either be recalled or voted out. That's it. So I'd love some answers to those questions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, thank you, sir. All righty. Item 3 is consider approval of consent agenda. Does anyone need to pull anything off the consent agenda? If not, we'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir. Daniel and Darren. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 3. We'll call the question. I'm sorry.
The screen changed,
It
but there
didn't.
was nothing on
It's
it.
just black. So it passed 5-0. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, it's just a black screen. I don't know that it's on, maybe. Item 4, presentation of pet of the month. And I know I saw a dog walking around out there. Now they're making him get up.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful.
So this is Daisy. She's approximately 5 to 7-year-old Australian Shepherd mix. We've had her about a month. She's super friendly. She gets along with every dog that we've introduced her to. And she's available for adoption for $5. That will include a spay and a current rabies shot.
Very
We
good.
have lots available for adoption. We're full.
We're full. It's very nice. I think she'd go home with just about anybody in here.
Yes, she would.
Yeah. Very good. So $5 and she'd go home with you.
Yep.
There you go. Someone ought to grab her. I think she's going home with the city manager.
I know which car is hers.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for bringing her out.
Thank you.
Okay, we have got 2 mayor's proclamations in item 5. So I will come down and get those. We've got, first one will be recognizing Outsiders Production Company Play It Loud, November 2023. So okay. Well, cool. So we got one missing tonight, huh? All righty. So this is pretty cool deal here. So we've got a proclamation here for Outsiders Productions Play It Loud, whereas members of the Outsiders production team, Jason Alexander, Adam Hampton, Chad Matthews, and Kenny Pitts, continue to bring recognition and prestige to the film industry in the Shawnee area in the state of Oklahoma. And whereas Outsiders Productions have been a staple in the Shawnee area film industry, starting their careers together when they were in high school at Dale, Bethel, and Shawnee, and developing and increasing sophisticated production, And whereas the Outsiders have been awarded their fourth regional Emmy, celebrating the finest achievement in television and film for their series Play It Loud, filmed at the Grand Casino Resort Hotel and other central Oklahoma locations. And whereas the Outsiders continue to inspire the current and next generation of filmmakers and film enthusiasts. Now therefore I, Ed Bolt, Mayor of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, by the authority vested in me on this 20th day of November 2023, I do hereby recognize for their service and outstanding contributions to the City of Shawnee, Outsiders Productions. Very, very cool. I know you're not shy.
Well,
that I know.
I would say we love Shawnee, and this town, growing up here, has given us a wealth of memories and stories, and so we love to focus the stories that we tell and share about the same spirit and people that we grew up with. So this means a lot. Shawnee has always been very supportive of us, and we acknowledge that, and we respect it and appreciate it. And thank you so very, very much.
You bet. It's good seeing you guys. Oh, we gotta do this. There you go. You bet. Good for you.
Did you try to get in or out? Okay. Can't see the lens. It can't see you. That's true.
So the second proclamation we have is for Shawnee Day. And Jessica, I understand you're coming up to get that? Oh,
Yeah.
Come on, everybody. Come on up. How are you guys tonight? There you go.
See one back there too.
Yeah, I know. Man, we do have a bunch, don't we? That's good. More than better.
Yep.
All right. So this proclamation is for Small Business Saturday, whereas the government of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas according to the United States Small Business Association, there are 33 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of the firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62.7% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 46.4% of private sector employees in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the United States stay in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses create an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local goods and services. And whereas 72% of consumers reported that Small Business Saturday 2022 made them want to shop and dine at small independently owned retailers and restaurants all year long. And whereas the city of Shawnee supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and enrich our community. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore I, Ed Bolt, Mayor of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim this 25th day of November 2023 to be Small Business Saturday, and urge the residents of our community to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday throughout the year. So very cool. And I will give this to you, Casey.
Would you like to say anything?
You
sure did.
I never turned in an opportunity.
I know.
The shirts you see up here are actually called Shop Shawnee. It's an initiative that Shawnee Forward came here a month ago to share with everyone that we were launching, and we appreciate your support in Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. Shop Shawnee is something that we can do to support our businesses throughout the year. It's very difficult for our small businesses to be able to survive year over year, particularly when competing with the internet now. So everything you can do to keep our dollars local so that we can support all of our programs here is fantastic. I would like to acknowledge our board of directors. We have a few here, our chairman, who have supported this initiative for Shawnee Forward, and also for the generous support of First United Bank and Trust, who have supported this with a sponsorship, so that if you would like to go and buy a Shop Shawnee gift card, look on shopshawneeforward.com. They will supplement that with a free gift card. So to encourage you to shop Shawnee throughout the season and then the year. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
this.
much.
I'm good.
Good seeing you guys.
Would you like to go upstairs, Sharon?
Yeah, get Cammie down here.
Yeah.
She's on your board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my left arm's not working.
Thank you.
All right, you guys take care.
Thanks.
Okay, gets us to item 6, consideration of the calendar year 2024 schedule of regular meetings for the Board of City Commissioners, the Board of Trustees of the Shawnee Airport Authority, and the Board of Trustees of the Shawnee Municipal Authority. And Andrea is up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. In 2023, the City of Shawnee moved from twice monthly City Commission meetings and meetings of the Shawnee Municipal Authority and Shawnee Airport Authority to once a month meetings. This move was supported by our city charter, which specifically calls for at least one monthly regular meeting. What the move to the once monthly meeting afforded us was a little bit of freed up time and resources to get some of the other very important items done. What it did not do was negatively impact the policy making of this governing body. You may recall that we did have some special call meetings, most of which were related to either grant applications or specific tornado-related recovery activities. All in all, it has saved us time on a monthly basis. It has allowed the city manager's office and the city clerk's office to free up an entire week that was otherwise spent on agenda preparation. What we have brought to you this evening are two separate schedules, one of which would revert us back to twice a monthly meetings, and the other one is staying with the once monthly meetings. I would like to specifically point out that we had heard from citizens who thought that the reduction in their opportunity to address this governing body, we had in parallel rolled out an online portal through which our citizens could contact both the city commissioners, but also report code enforcement issues or infrastructure issues truly on a 24-hour, 7 days and 365 days a year kind of basis. So there was always an opportunity to reach out to both you, the city commission, as well as to select management staff on any kind of issues that needed to be resolved. With that in mind, city staff recommends that the city commission take into serious consideration the once a month meeting schedule, and that we continue as we have been this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions? I don't see any. Anyone like to make a motion?
Move that we accept staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to support staff recommendation of continuing with the once a month meetings then. So that was Daniel and Cammie. We have a motion and a second. We will call the question. motion carries 5-0. Item 7, consideration of an ordinance amending portions of Article 11, Section 8 through 8-600 through 8-603 of Chapter 8 of the Shawnee Municipal Code, regulating meal operations in the downtown area, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for emergency clause. And Andrea, it's yours again.
Yes. On October 16, the City Commission passed an ordinance aimed at regulating meal operations in the downtown area. The very reason for the passage of this ordinance was sanitation issues that were created by some of the unregulated meal operations that were occurring. As we as in being city staff and some of the commissioners as well, have received a lot of questions about this particular ordinance because it used the words prohibition. We wanted to come back and clarify the language. It does not change the underlying reasoning for this ordinance. It just simply provides clear language on the fact that this is meant to regulate those operations in downtown, not prohibit them outright. They are prohibited only if somebody does not pull a special use permit. The permit process was kept easy and simplified on purpose so as to not create a regulatory barrier for those groups interested in providing meal operations. However, what it does do is provide city staff a name and contact information should there be issues that are left behind in the wake of one of those meal operations. And with that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on this amendment.
Any questions? Pretty clear, really. Anyone like to make a motion? So we don't have any questions.
Move to approve item 7.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Darren and Daniel. All righty, we have a motion and a second. Mr. City Attorney, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending portions of Article 11, Sections 8-600 through 8-603 of Chapter 8 of the Shawnee Municipal Code, regulating meal operations in the downtown area, providing for repeal, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for emergency clause.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 7. We'll call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 8 is consideration of an emergency clause as it relates to agenda item number 7 for the protection of the public's health, safety, and welfare. An emergency is declared to exist per Oklahoma State Statute Title 11, Article 14, Section 14-103. Mr. Vondran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a brief teaching moment. You may have noticed that we've extracted the emergency clause into a separate agenda item. This is because we have one of the top 7 municipal clerks in the state of Oklahoma.
There we go.
Who's constantly making sure that our practices are as modern and up to date as possible. And in an effort to create additional transparency and make sure that it is clear in each and every agenda that we are going to be entertaining an emergency clause, in addition to doing a separate vote, it will have its own agenda item going forward that states the statutory rationale behind the emergency. So this is no different than what we've previously done. We've just drawn it out for clarity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Appreciate the explanation. Do we have a motion?
Is the motion to approve item 8, which would
Is the emergency clause for 7.
clause, rather than say I'd like to add an emergency clause, it just changes to approve the item?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 8.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Daniel and, okay, Daniel and Darren. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for approval of item 8. We'll call the question. And that motion carries 5-0. Item 9, consideration of an ordinance amending portions of the Shawnee Municipal Code, Chapter 21, Parks and Recreation, providing for repeal, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for codification. That's in there twice. And Brad, you're up.
Good
How are you
evening.
doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Doing great.
So this item is to amend 2 sections of Chapter 21. The proposed amendment, Section 7B, clarifies language allowing for designee or city manager or designee. Amendments to 9A and B clarifies language concerning the vendors and services requiring the vendor to obtain permit to provide service in the parks. Staff recommends approval of the item.
All righty. Any questions? How about a motion?
Motion to approve item 9.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
Well, that's quick. That sounded like Darren to me. So we've got a motion and a second. So, Mr. Vondran, it's all yours again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance amending portions of the Shawnee Municipal Code, Chapter 21, Parks and Recreation, providing for repeal, providing for codification, and providing for severability.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 9. We'll call the question.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 10, consideration and cancellation of lease agreement for 15512 Nickens Road, Belcher Track, Lot 2. Mr. Vondran, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, staff is withdrawing its recommendation for the commission to make a finding of intentional disregard. And we'd ask that no action be taken on this item at this time because administratively it's no longer necessary.
All righty, very good.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I guess we're good. Thank you, sir. Item 11 is consideration of a task order in accordance with the agreement between the City of Shawnee and Del Sol Consulting for consulting services related to the April 19, 2023 storm event. Hey, Danny, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. In June, you guys, you approved a contract with Del Sol Consulting for consulting services related to the tornado recovery. This contract requires the issuance of task orders. At that meeting, we issued the first task order. This would be the second task order that would be resulting from this agreement and would allow Del Sol to continue to provide the services that are included in their scope of work. It includes a not-to-exceed provision of $500,000. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All righty. Anybody got questions? Nope. How about a motion?
Move to approve the item.
I'll second.
Daniel and Cammy. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 11. Call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 12 is consideration of an amendment to the contract between the City of Shawnee and Debris Tech LLC for debris removal monitoring services. Mr. Weiss, it's all yours again.
It's me again. Also, at that same meeting in June, you all approved a contract with Debris Tech to provide debris removal monitoring services. That contract included a not to exceed provision of $500,000. As we're nearing completion for debris removal and we're entering kind of into the closeout phase of this, it's become necessary to increase that limit as we have gotten very close to the $500,000 cap. This amendment would increase the cap by $200,000 from $500,000 to $700,000. It is not anticipated that all $200,000 will be necessary, but it could reach that mark. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All righty. Anyone got questions?
You said we're nearing completion. What estimated timeline on completing debris pickup?
That's a little bit difficult to answer because there's some extenuating variables that are outside of our control, but I would anticipate within the next few months that we'll be completely finished with that.
Any other questions? I guess not. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, Daniel. So Cammie and Daniel. So we have a motion and a second for approval of item 12. We'll call the question. And motion passes 5-0. Item 13 is consideration of a professional services agreement with Brandstetter Carroll, Inc. for design services for Fire Station Number 3 remodel. Chief, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you, sir?
Doing great.
The item you have before you tonight is for consideration for professional service for the remodel of Fire Station 3. As you know, Station 3 was identified as a priority in our 2018 sales tax initiative, and where those collections began in that October of that year. Over the last several months, staff has worked with Kirkpatrick to develop a scope of services and design for the renovation of this station. They come highly recommended from multiple different metro departments that have worked with them as far as Del City, Oklahoma City, Edmond, Norman, and recently Mustang. Staff recommends approval of this item, and also Mr. Robinson is in the audience tonight if there's any additional questions you have regarding this.
Very good. Anyone got questions for Chief or Mr. Robinson? If not, we'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Darren and Cammie. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 14, consideration of resolution for the selection of City of Shawnee bridge inspectors for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation Bridge Inspection Program. Seth, how are you tonight?
Pretty good, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You might recall this item comes before you every 2 years. It was last before you in November of 2021. Tonight's resolution is for the 2024 bridge inspection cycle. As in the previous couple of cycles, we've elected to follow suit with Potawatomi County and use Circuit Engineering District Number 4. They've done our inspections since 2016 and have done a great job for us. With that, staff would recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Good. How about a motion then?
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Daniel and Darren. And Joe, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution concerning bridge inspection responsibility by local government for compliance with national bridge inspection standards.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 14. We'll call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 15 is consideration of resolution adopting a code of ethics for elected and appointed municipal leaders. And our city manager is up again.
The purpose of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma Code of Ethics is to strengthen the quality of municipal government. You will find that such a code of ethics can not only be applied to the elected officials, but also to our appointed citizen leaders who serve on our advisory boards and commissions. The proposed code of ethics is instrumental in maintaining transparency and integrity in municipal government and is meant to inspire trust by our citizens. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? How about a motion if we don't have any questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you very much. And Joe, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution adopting a code of ethics for the City of Shawnee elected and appointed municipal leaders.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 15. We will call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 16, consideration of resolution adopting the Board of City Commissioners Best Governance Practices Handbook. Andrea, you are up again.
I am. The City of Shawnee is pursuing effective and accountable governance. City staff has been working with OMAG, and we've actually tried to get them to conduct a City Commission training, which unfortunately had to postpone a few times for various different reasons. For the Best Governance Practices Handbook that was submitted with your agenda package, we've used the OMAG template that specifically called out particularly difficult situations or laws that oftentimes get municipal governing bodies into trouble, such as the Observance of Public Open Meetings Act and Open Records Act, the conducting of those meetings, all of the pitfalls that need to be taken into account if all of a sudden 4 or more of you find yourself in the same room and it has not been declared a special public meeting, for example. Public municipal finance is also very poorly understood. That is, again, another pitfall for official governing bodies that they can find themselves in, and so is the Open Records Act. This particular handbook was customized specific to the City of Shawnee. It points out those things that commissioners such as yourself who have been doing this for a while need to remember as you serve on the governing body, but it is especially useful for those commissioners who may be new to city commissions and city government. And so staff has brought forth this handbook as a proposed handbook going forward with the understanding as laws change that updates would be made to stay current at all times. I would be happy to answer any questions you have on the handbook that is proposed for approval.
You got any questions?
Just one. There was a question raised in citizens' participation that I think the handbook addresses, so about whether we were seeking to limit comment to only agenda items on the agenda. Just want to make sure I understand. I'm understanding this sentence correctly. On page 15 of the handbook, it says citizens may discuss city-related business regardless of whether it is included on the meeting agenda. My understanding that to me it reads fairly clearly that we are not seeking to limit comment to items only on the agenda.
That is correct.
Seemed pretty plain to me, but I just wanted to make sure.
It is very poorly understood that the Oklahoma Open Meetings Act requires that city commissioners do not discuss or take any action on items that were not on the agenda. So it is particularly tricky when there is a public comment or a public question on an item that was not on the agenda. You are very limited as a governing body to respond in that particular case. That is really what that passage points to. It is in no way a restriction that public participation only be limited to those topics that are on the agenda itself. It is only related to your response to those public participation comments and questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Daniel and Cammie. All right, Joe, you are up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution adopting the Board of City Commissioners Best Governance Practices Handbook.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 16. We will call the question.
Yes.
It's really random how that misses people. And motion passes 5-0. Item 17 is consideration of the following budget amendments for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Looks like we have we've got a whole bunch of them here. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I am presenting a budget amendment for your consideration for 7 funds, totaling $421,594. The first, so I'm going to present all of these as one item, and then you'll vote for just the one item, and I can answer any questions once. So for the first budget amendment is for prior year encumbrances. So during the closeout process of our fiscal year, we identified some payments that were made in the current fiscal year that were on past year encumbrances. So this budget amendment will correct the budget in the current fiscal year, and that applies to 4 of the funds in the budget amendment tonight is the general fund, the capital improvement fund, the 2018 half-cent sales tax fund, and the aquatic center fund. The next budget amendment is for the hotel motel surcharge fund. This budget amendment adds budget authority of $89,134. And this includes various operational needs, including advertising, an increase in printed material needs, adjustment to salaries, a purchase of 4 painted horses for the city, across the city, and then signage that was destroyed in the tornado. This additional appropriation will be funded by fund balance, grant revenue, other miscellaneous revenue, and hotel motel surcharge projected to exceed budget estimates. The next budget amendment is in the capital improvement fund for $106,600. That's for a lease payment for a patch truck. That was brought as a budget amendment last fiscal year and was left out of the FY24 budget. So this will add budget authority, and we do have sales tax revenue to support that budget amendment. The next one is for the Clear Pond Road culvert project. That project was approved or the bid was approved last commission meeting, and this provides additional appropriation. We estimated $500,000 for that project, and the bid came in above that amount. So this gives additional $76,808 in the street improvement fund. And this is supported by sales tax revenues. The last budget amendment is for vehicle repairs. So last commission meeting, we did a budget amendment for a newly created fund, the Insurance Recovery Fund. It was primarily, last meeting was the tornado funds. I'm also going to start using this fund for any vehicle damages that we get every year. We're constantly trying to track the revenue and then the expenses and for any kind of vehicle repair. So this will make it a lot cleaner and more administratively easier to track that revenue and expenses. And so the total for that fund is an estimate of $50,000. There are 2 particular departments that are included with a total of $7,000. So $50,000 is just an estimate for the year. So I'll answer any questions that you have on that.
Okay, we got any questions for Lindsay? No? Okay, how about a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Daniel and Darren. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 17. We'll call the question.
Yes.
And I think very briefly I saw motion passed 5-0. Is that how, did I read that right? Thank you, ma'am. It was up there for less than a tenth of a second probably. Item 18, consider bids. We have, looks like a couple of them. Seth, it's all yours again.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, we opened bids for the fiscal year 24 microsurfacing project on November 9th. If you all recall, Brad gave a presentation on this, and you might remember it as pressure pave. At that bid opening, we had 1 bid. Since then, staff has reviewed the bid and the contractor's pre-qualification letter. The bidder was Donaldson Construction Company LLC with a bid of $2,066,919.45. This was below our staff estimate that we had figured around $2.5 million. Staff does recommend awarding the contract, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions?
How many miles are we gonna be able to do with that?
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
It's
Did you see the maps?
I did, I was just,
It's about a little over 19 lane miles.
thank you.
So, in different segments.
Very good. Anxious to see one of those. So we voting on these separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then we need a motion on 18A then, right?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, ma'am.
18A.
All righty, very good.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second approval of 18A. And that passes 5-0, so we're to 18B now. North Park Avenue.
One more time, yes, sir. So we opened bids for the North Park 14-inch water line replacement on November 9th as well. At that bid opening, we had 4 bids. Since then, staff, along with our design consultant, has reviewed the bid tabs, as well as the contractor's performance record. At this time, staff recommends awarding the contract to Orr Construction, Inc., who submitted the lowest bid at $1,150,180. This project is funded as part of our state ARPA allocation and as part of our CIP. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
What happens if they can't do it for that? Because, I mean, we estimated 2.5. The other 3 bids were within like
Right.
$30,000 of one another, which
Right.
on a project this big
Right.
tells me that's probably right. I mean,
It's in the ballpark, yeah. I'd
And
say
then this
this.
one's 50% lower.
We had a frank conversation with Orr ourselves after the bid opening to make sure that they felt good about their numbers. They're a very experienced HDPE installer. They do a ton of work for ONG in the gas industry. We're using HDPE on our water line, and they felt good about their numbers. They felt like there wasn't a mistake on their end. They were just able to perform that much better. So they're more than qualified to do the work, and they stand behind their numbers. So we're gonna take them at their word that they're gonna do it.
So that still gets to my question, what if they don't?
If they're unable to perform their contract, I mean, we would turn it over to the contractual obligations, right? We would go through that process. Ultimately, we would end up back here doing this again in a different format.
So
but
this isn't
we'd go-
like we're not gonna do change orders and we end up at 1.9.
I certainly hope not. We're certainly gonna avoid that at all, if we can.
I mean, that's just my concern, is that it's,
The commission would have to approve a change order of that scope.
well, right, but I mean,
And
like, that would delay
under
the project.
Under the bid and the contract documents, that would not be staff's recommendation to accept such a
Right.
request for a change order.
Right. There would have to be a
And there will
scope
be
change.
bonds posted.
So they're just
Yep.
kind of up a creek so it's on them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, just make it short, like,
Yeah, I mean,
because it
like
seems
we ought to be
so,
able to enforce the contract.
it just
Yeah.
hit me as odd, because we don't
Yeah,
normally see
yeah,
this.
it was.
The difference is largely in one item. I don't know if you got into the bid tabs, but if you look at the installation of the pipe, that single line item was over $500,000 difference between the low bid and the high bid. So it's effectively that one item, they're $500,000 cheaper in their labor. So, I mean, that's the difference.
It's a good question. Any other questions? If not, would entertain a motion.
Move to approve 18B.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
Darren and Cammy. Okay, got a motion and a second. We'll call the question.
Yes.
And motion carries 4-1. Item 19, consideration of a task order in accordance with the agreement between the City of Shawnee and Cowan Engineering LLC. Cowan for owner's representative inspection services for North Park Avenue 14-inch water line replacement project. All yours, Seth.
Yes, sir. One more time. So as we've done here regularly of late, and is actually a requirement of our ARPA funding, but we're requesting owner representative services for our ARPA project that you all just awarded. So this task order is for owner's rep, inspection, and resident engineering services on the North Park Avenue 14-inch water line project. The task order is for $90,800 to Cowan Group Engineering LLC, and it will be funded through the ARPA allocation. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any other questions for Seth? Seeing none, we'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir. And I'll give the second. So we have a motion and a second for approval of item 19. We'll call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 20 is acknowledged monthly sales tax and budget reports. So Lindsay, it's all yours again.
All right. Good evening again. The sales tax for November totaled $2,606,349, which includes $2,832 in interest. This is distributed across 8 funds. The receipts in November are from estimated October sales and final sales in September. November collections saw a 16% increase over November of last year. However, with the addition of the half-cent sales tax that was approved in April, the actual year-over-year increase is 1.3%. When comparing collections to budget projections in the month of November, we are 10% above projections for the month and 9% above collections year-to-date. Use tax for November totaled $386,136, which is a 27% above projection for the month and 21% above projections year-to-date. When you combine the use tax and the general fund portion of sales tax, the general fund is currently $862,000 above budget projections. For the second time, I've included a new chart in the report that I wanted to highlight. This is a comparison chart of sales tax collections by month for the calendar year. The comparison chart includes cities of Durant, Yukon, Ardmore, Muskogee, Bartlesville, Stillwater, and Enid. These cities were selected with 3 factors: population, city tax rate, and the state ranking and overall collections. From October to November, Shawnee saw a slight increase in collections of 1%, when the majority of the comparison cities declined anywhere from 4 to 10%. And I'd happy to answer any questions.
Has anybody got questions for Lindsay? No questions, but sounds like pretty good news.
Yes.
Pretty good. Thank you very much. That gets us to item 21, which are administrator reports. Looks like we've got a couple of those. So first one is progress update on the Unified Development Code. And Ryan Harkins, all yours. How you doing, Ryan?
Good evening. Commissioners, you may recall about 6 months ago, we did an update on the Unified Development Code as a progress report. At that point, we had started to walk through different aspects. In the early stages, at this point, over the last few months, staff has worked with the consulting firm of Friesen Nichols to develop not only zoning districts, but to solidify different aspects of the subdivision component of the development code. And at this point, we're starting to work through a complete draft, a working draft with the consultant and giving them our additional edits. To give you a full and complete update on the steps we've taken to this point, Don Werrick from Friesen Nichols, our project manager, is here and is going to walk you through a set of slides just to give you an update.
Very good. Thank you. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody.
Just bend
Sure,
that
that's
however you need to.
Hitting me right in the eyeballs.
There you go.
All right. As Ryan mentioned, my name's Dawn Warwick. I'm the project manager. I'm an urban planner with Friesen Nichols, and we're pleased to be working with you and your staff to develop a unified development code for the city of Shawnee. This work is coming right along. When we spoke last, we had completed a diagnostic report which identified a series of issues and possible solutions that could be drafted into a set of regulations to improve the administration as well as the execution of development within the city. And so where we are today is basically at as Mr. Harkins mentioned, a complete draft. So what I want to go over with you this evening really is just an overview of the process to date, kind of what we've accomplished so far. We developed a top 10 list to sort of synopsize the things that we found to be probably the highest priorities within the update of your regulations, and then an overview and summary of the content within the draft or within the draft Unified Development Code. A little bit about next steps and the opportunity for you to ask questions if you have them. This is the three-phase project schedule that was developed for this project. We're actually a little bit further than halfway, so more towards the in-between phases 2 and 3, where the diagnostic is complete. We've done quite a bit of drafting. As was mentioned, we have a full working draft. It's about 235 pages. It is on the project website for anybody who just really needs to get some sleep, but that is available. And so the next part of what we'll be doing is moving this into sort of the refinement, final edits, and preparing it for adoption. And that'll happen in the early spring. The top 10 items that we felt were things to highlight and to present to you all, modernizing the format of your regulations, just because we're now in the 2020s, felt like it was necessary to make sure that you had a document that could live online and have hyperlinks and other elements, some graphics in it that made it much easier to navigate both for staff as well as for applicants and anyone interested in reviewing it. So graphics are improved as well. We tried to knock out as much of the planning jargon as we could and still maintain the integrity of the document, so that it's a little bit easier to use and more approachable. The subdivision standards have been fairly fully overhauled, and so you've got a new series of subdivision regulations. We pulled together and then pulled apart different zoning districts, so we'll talk a little bit about how the zoning districts have been restructured. We looked at your entire list of uses and where they were permitted, so that's been reviewed and updated. The development standards, basically how lots are developed, how properties, how facilities are placed on properties, and the various elements of that site development are updated. We streamlined processes to the extent possible, provided flexibility and where appropriate, allocated authority to staff to approve certain requests, and we expanded the definitions so that every use and all of the common terms within the document have a definition now. The organization of the document is, as you see here, it's basically 10 chapters or articles running from general provisions, which is introductory, down to the definitions to kind of bookend the regulations. The first article, general provisions, this does just line out the purpose of your land development regulations, references to applicable state regulations, to your comprehensive plan and other long-range planning policies, the effective date, which regulations on the books today are being appealed and repealed and replaced with this information, and then the relationship to other regulations within your municipal code. The second article is really focusing on zoning districts, and this is where it establishes the various zoning districts. It provides a purpose statement for each. Each district has cross-references and dimensional standards. So there's a table for each zoning district within this section, and it references different regulations that are applicable. Within the zoning districts, we'll talk about a few of these. The traditional or transitional agricultural district. This is new. It's sort of rebranding the existing A1 district. There's one provision within this that we felt like was, I don't know, innovative, appropriate, a way to ensure that as these large tracts kind of on the periphery of the community are prepared for development, that they have the opportunity to start developing in an organized fashion when public utilities are provided to them. So there are some provisions that we're calling build-through acreage, and that just provides that when you have a large acreage tract, you have the ability to carve out property within that if you meet certain criteria and if the utilities are coming to serve those areas, and so that it basically positions those properties at the edge and closest to your municipal utility infrastructure, that they can basically develop first, and they do so in an organized way so that you don't end up with what we often see is a single home on the middle of a 40-acre tract that makes it very difficult to subdivide the property in the future. So we're trying to head that off a little bit and provide some opportunities for development that is going to happen in that organized fashion. Also within the zoning districts, we addressed residential districts. So you now have 3 solely residential districts, low, medium, and high density districts. So they're each defined and provide the types of residential uses that can be established in those districts. Commercial districts, you've gone from 4 or 5 commercial districts to 2 primary commercial districts, so local commercial as well as regional, and those are as they sound, supporting more local businesses versus those that attract a regional activity. In the mixed-use districts, we included downtown as a mixed-use district, also a strictly mixed-use MU district, and also created the Twin Lakes district. So each of these allows for a variety of uses. The downtown district as well as the Twin Lakes district have sub-districts within them. They're treated a bit as, specifically the downtown is treated similarly to a form-based approach, so that we're looking more at how buildings are situated and the public space surrounding those buildings. But there are 3 sub-districts within downtown and 2 sub-districts within the Twin Lakes district. Industrial districts, you've gone from 3 to 2, so there's a high intensity or a light industrial, a heavy or high, can't speak tonight. There is a heavy industrial district. That's where the most intense uses are going to occur. And then you have a light industrial district. So you might see those as more advanced manufacturing, heavy office type uses that blend into industry. All right. So when we get to the uses article, which follows the districts, this is solely focused on what activities can occur and where within the municipality. So land uses are allowed based upon their zoning. There are opportunities within this section of the ordinances to identify where additional standards are required and what those are, where they apply. We also basically took all of this information that previously had been separated out for each of the zoning districts and combined it into a master uses table. So you've got a permitted uses table that is now giving you a whole lot of information in one place. It's turned sideways, so you've got a better view of a whole lot of columns. But what you see here is a situation that all of the zoning districts are listed across the top of your table, and all of the land uses run down the first column to the left. Within that table, you get, there's a key that provides instruction, but the uses that are on that left-hand side, every single one of them is defined within the definitions chapter of this Unified Development Code. And so you'll have a hyperlink to that definition. And then within the body of the table, you are provided sort of the key to understanding what those P, C, and dashes are within those boxes. So a P is a permitted use, C is a conditional use. If the field is empty, that use is not permitted within the designated zoning district. And if there is a dash under the parking column, it means that there is not a parking ratio assigned to that particular use. You also have a column that is use-specific regulations. These are also hyperlinked and reference different sections within the Unified Development Code, where for particular uses you may have specific standards, additional criteria that need to be met, and so you can jump directly to those to understand what those requirements are. The development standards article within the Unified Development Code really talks about uniform standards for the site development. So everything from general provisions, which is really just introducing this section, but dimensional requirements, parking, signage, landscaping, screening. This is the chapter that sort of gets down to the nuts and bolts of how the site development occurs. Related to design standards, there are design standards for both residential and non-residential properties. So those range from building materials to the location of windows and doors, and required on-site amenities depending upon the particular type of development. Also within the development standards, you have a section on parking. So this establishes what your your table establishes what your parking standards are, but this section establishes how those parking standards are met and designed onto a particular site. There are also provisions in here for bicycle parking, some allowances to reduce the parking requirements where you have a mixture of uses, or where you have activities that are compatible, what we would entitle a captive market, where you have clearly a development where someone may go to that site, maybe a mixed-use development, to accomplish a multitude of things. They may go for their dry cleaning and for a restaurant stop or coffee shop, and so there's logically a way to reduce the number of required parking spaces for that type of an environment. It discusses downtown parking. It also so you've got the ability to address on-street parking and how that relates to the businesses within, or the developments within downtown. You also have a section that addresses electric vehicle parking or charging stations. So also within the development standards, there is a section on landscaping. Of course, this is where we go to identify the requirements for your perimeter landscaping, screening necessary generally in front of parking areas, but also the required landscaping within parking lots. So there is generally a screening requirement along the edge, as well as required parking once you hit a certain number of spaces within the lots. It talks about the particular tree planting requirements. There's an updated tree list that will be incorporated. Also opportunities for low-impact development or xeriscaping options or approaches to the design of their sites. For fencing, screening and fencing, this really just clarifies what's required and what conditions, what materials are appropriate to use for fencing and screening materials, minimum and maximum heights that can be applied based upon the location and zoning. Infill standards, this is an important one. It allows for developments that, you may have a missing tooth in a particular row of lots or row of developed properties, and generally it's difficult to ensure that one, the missing tooth, develops in a way that's respective of the context around it, respective of the lots surrounding it that already have development on them. So the infill standards provide a way for development to be incorporated into those lots to be respective of where buildings are positioned, so the setbacks from front and sides, also the height of the structure, so that you get development that looks like it was all brought generally around the same point in time, and that at least it's not distinctly different. Oftentimes when codes change, you end up with a mandate for a new setback that's either much bigger or much smaller than what's existing, and these transition standards provide for ways to incorporate new development into established neighborhoods without it looking like it doesn't fit. You've got a really new sign section. We needed to make some pretty major updates to your sign regulations to ensure that they were compatible with existing standards and also meet relatively recent tests that have gone through the Supreme Court and established new criteria for content neutrality and other sign provisions. So the types of signs that are addressed are everything from your typical ground-mounted and attached signs. We address incidental and temporary signage as well as special signage. So you've got a whole menu of signs and the zoning districts in which they can be located under what circumstances. So there's tables that help to reflect that within this section that are easier to read than just going through a bunch of text. The subdivision regulations, similar to signage, needed a pretty complete overhaul. Most of that was just to bring it into current best practices. So we've done that. We've also, as a sidecar project, I think we've mentioned previously that we're also developing an engineering design manual that will take some of the technical directives out of the Unified Development Code and put that into the engineering design criteria manual so that the design engineers understand what the city's expectations are. They can design to those criteria, and that is a more flexible document that can be adjusted through an amendment without having to go through the same procedures that an update to the Unified Development Code requires. And speaking of procedures, the next section within the Unified Development Code is the procedures. So all of the types of development are defined within your front end, districts and the uses, but the way that you accomplish getting those onto the ground and through the approval process is defined within this procedures chapter. Every different type of application is addressed. And every type of application has a flow chart and a clear set of steps that an applicant needs to go through, that the staff needs to understand in order to get from submittal of the application through to an approval or an action. There'll always be certain nonconformities, whether they are pre-existing or created through changes to regulations. So we have a section that specifically addresses nonconformities. It addresses nonconforming uses, lots, structures, signs as well. So all of the different things that need to be addressed need to be reviewed, and where there are nonconformities, what's allowed to remain, what can be improved or modified, and to what extent. That's explained within the nonconformities section. The updated enforcement provisions, tried to strengthen those to the degree possible, and we also included a specific list of violations so that it's easier for staff as well as property owners to understand what the potential violations are and how they are addressed. And then the section on approval authorities, this also kind of takes the form of a table or two that describe all of the various actions that are related to land development and addressed within the Unified Development Code. Which board, body, or individual has the authority to make a recommendation or take final action on those requests is identified in this approval authorities section. And I mentioned that all of the terms relative to the different types of uses are included in a definitions section. All of the common terms within the Unified Development Code are also included. So we wanted to make sure that that was highlighted, and just to explain that there are two sections that are called definitions. One is those land use terms and the others are general terms. So moving forward, we, as we've mentioned, have a complete 235-page working draft for you. That document is available for review. It's on the project website. It is a working draft. It's watermarked draft because we want to make sure that people have the chance to see it, ask questions about it, but also understand that we still have work to do to refine any questions, address any issues that may arise. The staff is continually giving us feedback, and we're trying to incorporate updates and modifications to address their concerns and questions. As we move forward in early 2024. Our project schedule has this wrapping up around March, so chances are we'll be putting things back on your agenda in the coming months so that we can provide you another opportunity to sort of dig into the specifics after you've had a chance to review the draft and develop a series of questions, or however you want to do that. But we want to make sure that we're available to you in that capacity so that you've got a good opportunity to sort of workshop this before it hits your agenda for approval. The development manual will be ready in the early spring as well, so we'll bring all of that information to you. Hopefully not overwhelming, but complimentary, so it sort of all explains the whole process, soup to nuts. And again, we are keeping this information current on the project website, which is continually accessible through your community development page, through your city's website. And I think that gets me to, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, any questions? There's a lot there. Awful lot there. Anyone got questions at this point? Everybody good? No?
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for all of that. You guys have been very thorough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that arise. Your staff is pretty good about sending them our way, so don't be shy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's good seeing you again. All righty, that gets us to 21B. Looks like a Santa Fe Depot update. And Danny, this one looks like it's yours.
It's me again. Mayor and Commissioners, given the interest in the Santa Fe Depot project, we wanted to give a little bit of an update on the project. Mr. Harkins did a fairly comprehensive administrative report in September. I'm sure we all remember that, where we talked about the process of where we've been on this project and kind of where we're trying to go. And it was pretty thorough, so I don't want to rehash any of that. One of the things he mentioned in that meeting is that the plans were at 95% and almost ready to be let out for bid. In the time since that meeting and now, those plans were completed and the project was put out for bid. The bid was opened on October 13th. We held a mandatory pre-bid conference on November 2nd here at City Hall. The prospective bidders that came to that meeting were then brought to the depot to assess the building. We had drones up around it, taking pictures and all kinds of stuff. The most encouraging thing about this is that there were 19 people that came to that pre-bid conference that represented 16 prospective bidders. So there was a lot of interest in this project, which we're very grateful for. The bid request includes a base bid for repairs and 4 different alternates that incrementally increase the scope of the project. How many of the alternates we're able to include will depend wholly on where the bids come back in at, as there is a set amount of funding that is available for this. The bids for this project are due on November the 30th. Our intention is that the bid award will be on the December City Commission meeting. At that meeting, we're also hopeful to be able to potentially provide a rough construction start. I do not think we will have a timeline at that point, but at least kind of a when we can mobilize to the awarded vendor, which I know will be of great interest to everyone. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? I'm glad we got a lot of interest in that.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, very cool.
It's a specialty project and a special project, so I'm thankful that we had a lot of responses. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for the update.
You're very welcome.
Very much appreciated. Gets us to item 22, which is new business.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll do commissioner comments, and Lauren, let's start with you down your end.
I have none at this time.
None. All righty. You're up.
Wow. Caught
Catch
me
you off guard.
Thanks to staff for all the work going into the agenda. Congratulations to Lisa. That's fantastic. And glad to see Woodland Park, Veterans Park open. That's awesome. Sorry I had to miss the grand opening, but glad we've got two great parks that are making a lot of people smile. So that's fantastic. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, sir. You're up, Cammie.
I don't have a lot either. Congratulations to Lisa and Outsiders Production. It was cool to see those guys tonight. I've seen one of their movies. They had a premiere here a couple years ago, and that was really fun. Their work was very impressive. It's cool that they're here in our town. I love seeing the Unified Development Code progress. As a former planning commissioner, I nerd out so much on the Unified Development Codes, and I can see how beneficial that would be to the advancement of the community, potential developers, people that are already investing in the town, just to streamline that process and have a clear, set of guidelines that are just easier for people to understand, for us to make some good progress here. I feel like in the past couple months, we've gotten to see so many positive things. The Unified Development Codes are going to be something that change the scope of our town for decades, just like updating the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant. I feel like those are three huge things that have happened recently and are in the works that are just so great for the community and our growth here. It was awesome to go to Woodland Veterans Park opening. It looks so great. I get to see it every day going to work. And then, let's see here. What else do I have? Sorry, I thought I had something else I wanted to say, but I have a pounding headache and I'm not able to think so straight right now. So I think that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, real quick. First, want to congratulate Lisa again. Your great work, and it's nice to see that recognized. I found a little humor in you having to prepare your own certificate, but that hand it to the mayor and have it handed back to you. But that we appreciate all you do, and you and your team. Again, Woodland Veterans Park, the grand opening there. Just another great thing for our community to have, and great job in that project. Got to go to the ribbon cutting for the water treatment facility, and I hope you'll take an opportunity to look at some of what's been posted online by the city, and what an amazing facility that's preparing our city for the next several decades. And the technology there is cool, and I hope to see a lot of that spotlighted so more people can understand how amazing the staff is that runs it and all that goes into it. Shop Shawnee, important all the time, but as we head into this holiday season, really cool campaign that we can all participate in. So that is important. One comment, I think it was made by Mr. Dudley, asking about are there any plans to bring illegals to Shawnee? Using his words, I have heard not a peep from commission or staff regarding that. So I hate to break internet lore, but yeah, there you go. And just want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all of our residents and staff and families, and hope everyone has a chance to gather together and celebrate, and remember all the things that we have to be thankful for. So that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I don't have a ton either. We've had some nice gatherings in town here lately. Tree lighting was a lot of fun the other night. I know I saw some of the folks in the crowd here having a good time, and I think that went really well. The opening at Woodland Park was nicely done, and like I said, we've got 2 great parks here in town for people to have a lot of fun, and as I drive up and down Broadway, I see lots of people in there enjoying that. We did that sidewalk safari this past weekend. Andre and I attended that, and we walked from basically from Pleasant Grove School all the way to the mall on our sidewalks, which can be done now and done safely. And we had a good crowd. We probably had 40 folks that participated at one point or another, because not everybody did the entire walk with us, but there were some that, you know, did part of it, and others we picked up later on, and that went really well, and I think everybody had a good time. We had absolutely perfect weather on Saturday, so someone did a good job in planning the date, I guess. Congratulations, Lisa. You do an amazing job for us, and I'm glad that you got that cool piece of paper, and you're only one of 7 in the entire state. Out of how many cities? I mean, there's hundreds of cities in the state, and we have just one of 7 with that certification. That's really, really cool. So congratulations. Great updates this week by staff on the Unified Development Code and Santa Fe Depot, which we always get lots of questions on whether that project is moving forward, and clearly it is. And we'll be very interested to see what comes back to us in December. I think everybody will be excited to see that. And as Daniel said, very important, I think Cammie said it too, shop in Shawnee, because it's real important that we keep our tax dollars here in town so we can keep doing good things. And I don't have anything else, so that gets us to, well, we will recess the commission meeting by the power of the chair to convene the Shawnee Airport Authority, Shawnee Municipal Authority. So we go to the, I believe it's Airport Authority next. So I'm going to give everybody a second, including myself, to exit this meeting on our computers and then get signed into the Airport Authority. Looks like mine went. You guys just let me know when you're ready. Got the thumbs up from Daniel. Looks like Lauren's good. Everybody good?
Yes.
All righty. I got Lisa nodding, so we're in good shape. All right. So item 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir. Daniel and Cammie. We have a motion and a second for approval of item 1. Call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 2 is new business.
No new business.
Thank you, ma'am. So we are adjourned, and we will move on to the municipal authority. And same drill, we got to exit.
What happened?
And we'll join that. You guys let me know. Everybody good? You good down there?
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
It kept resetting.
All righty. As soon as Lisa's ready, we're ready to roll. All righty. Item 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Daniel and Darren. And we have a motion and a second for approval of item 1. We will call the question. Motion passes 5-0. Item 2 is new business.
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are adjourned, and we will return and reconvene City Commission meeting at item number 24. And item 24 is we'll consider an executive session to discuss annual evaluation of the city manager pursuant to 25 OS 307B1, discussing the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of any individual salaried public officer or employee. So that is the motion we would entertain.
I have a question. Can we make a motion for 24 and 25, or do we have to go in and out?
That's a good question. So you,
It's fine as long as there's an affirmative vote as to each agenda item, and we will need to address any action items coming out.
So we can make a motion on 24 vote, motion on 25 vote, and cover. We don't have to go, okay. I make a motion, we go into executive session on item 24.
I'll
thank
second.
you, sir. And Daniel and Darren. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for approval of item 24. We will call the question.
Oh my gosh, sorry. I'm not in the-
Oh, you know what? I don't think I am either.
Yes.
Yes. I think I saw 5-0 real fast. Okay, very good. So
Mr.
that
Mayor, I
motion-
make a motion that we enter executive session for item 25.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
sir. Daniel and Cammie. Okay.
Sorry to be a stickler, but if, Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind reading the agenda item.
Yes,
No, I'm
that's a
sorry.
very good point. Thank you. Item 25 is consider an executive session in accordance with 25 OS 307B4 to discuss confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that the disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest, specifically regarding PFAS settlement. Okay, so is your motion
Mayor, I
and
make a
second
motion we
still
enter
stand?
executive session for item 25.
I'll
Sure.
second.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of item 25. We'll call the question. Motion passes 5-0, so we will recess and go into executive session down the hall. So we will be back. Consider matters discussed in executive session regarding discussion of annual evaluation of city manager pursuant to 25 OS 307B1, discussing the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of any individual salaried public officer or employee. And this was deferred from the October 16, 2023 City Commission meeting. So what discussion do we have? Or do we have a motion that come out of that meeting?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we extend the city manager's contract by 1 year. We make no change. The contract includes no change to her compensation rate, and we add 5 additional days of leave per year to the contract.
Second.
So we have a motion from Daniel and a second from our vice mayor.
Yeah, make a motion that we extend the city manager's contract by 1 additional year, that the contract includes no change in her rate of compensation. It is amended to add 5 additional days of paid leave per year.
And just let me know when you're ready. And okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second, and we will call the question.
I did not, but I'll vote yes.
And very quickly, there we go. I saw it twice, 3 times now. Passed 5-0. Item 27, consider matters discussed in executive session in accordance with 25 OS 307B4 to discuss confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending investigation, claim, or action if the public body, with the advice of its attorney, determines that disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in the public interest, specifically regarding PFAS settlement. What discussion do we have there? Do we have a motion that come out of session?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we engage Fulmer, Seal, McAfee, and Taft regarding PFAS settlement, and we authorize the city manager to follow their legal advice regarding participating in any lawsuit or opting out of any settlement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you, ma'am. And I know that Lisa's going to need a second with that.
Yeah. We engage Fulmer, Seal, make a motion to engage Fulmer, Seal, McAfee, and Taft regarding PFAS settlement, and authorize the city manager to follow their legal advice regarding participation in any lawsuit or opting out of any settlement.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll call that question.
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0. Let's see. Item 28, discussion and presentation of City Commissioner Ward 3 applicants. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that look like they're going to speak. So I'm going to call these in order that they're on my paper. They will have 3 minutes to basically give their elevator speech for everybody to consider. And then we will see if we can come to agreement on who to choose. So in the order on my paper here, the first up is Teresa Cody, and I understand that Deborah Waterman is going to speak on her behalf. So Deborah, the floor is yours. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Deborah Waterman. I'm speaking on behalf of Teresa Cody, who has applied for the Ward 3 Commissioner seat. Due to prior commitments and holiday plans, Teresa is unable to attend this evening's meeting, but she has asked me to communicate some important points in her stead. Like many who live in Shawnee, Teresa's heritage in the city is generational. Her third great-grandparents moved to Shawnee area before statehood, traveling here by covered wagon, bringing with them their religion, knowledge, and trades. They moved here looking for a better life, and they found an opportunity where they could work together to help build this community. Having such deep roots in Shawnee, Teresa understands the importance of this history and will never forget the value many individuals have brought here to build this great town. As a Christian, Teresa Crody has dedicated herself to maintaining her personal character and integrity and is focused on communicating while maintaining a mission of transparency. These deeply held convictions are valuable traits Teresa can bring to her position if selected as commissioner. As a Shawnee business owner for over 30 years, Teresa is fully aware of the correlation between a successful thriving business and the robustness of a community. One of Teresa's focuses as a commissioner will be to find solutions within the community that will increase the validity of local businesses while protecting the safety of its citizens. Despite her absence tonight, there have been very few commission meetings that Teresa has missed over the last 4 years. Her dedication to the city's growth and safety has already been exemplified in her volunteering with several organizations, such as serving for several years on the boards of the Downtown Main Street, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, and the Traffic Commission's boards. Through these positions, she has been instrumental in the community in many ways by creating conceptual ideas to help grow the culture of Shawnee. In these arenas, Teresa has displayed a working ability to collaborate by communicating with a variety of individuals to create solutions. Rather than getting bogged down with personal conflicts, she chooses to focus on finding the win-win that dignifies all positions while benefiting the citizens whom these agencies serve and ultimately represent. A few highlights of her service thus far include co-founding CEF, which helped bring the community together for the downtown business owners under the event Buon Bell, and serving on the Zoning Board of Adjustments and the Traffic Commission, which exposed Teresa to what can happen when Shawnee businesses and citizens lose their voices in deference to those who should be representing them. As Commissioner of Ward 3, she intends to focus on the needs and opinions of the people. Ward 3 is her priority with all its rich history, inherent goodness, and temporary challenges, but she will also represent all of the city of Shawnee with an open mind and understanding because she believes every person in the city has valuable input to solve the problems and can work together to build a vibrant community that is an example to others. She endeavors to encourage stability within the community at large. And as a fellow citizen, I would encourage the council members to continue to consider Teresa's bid for Ward 3 as a point of health for the city of Shawnee. It's time we begin to honor the voice of the people and utilize citizens who have a true heart for Shawnee, and Teresa Cody is that citizen. Thank you for your consideration. Have a great Thanksgiving, y'all.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up is Lauren Craig.
To all this body has aimed to achieve, not just these bodies here that make up the governing position, but the people that led the way before us. And I think being in this room is an immense privilege and an immense honor, and I am humbly asking for your consideration to allow me to serve Shawnee's 3rd Ward. When my son was little, he wanted only to sleep in the stroller. Yes, not the car, the stroller. And so I spent a lot of time walking downtown Shawnee. And in that, so that was 10 years ago, and in that, I can assure you that downtown Shawnee looked very different, but I fell in love with it. And through Main Street, I could kind of dream about what it would be like if all the doors were opened and all the parks were revitalized. And I think that it is amazing to see just how much we have done so far as a community. I was indeed a young single mom without much of a support system anywhere, much less Shawnee. And in my walks, I would think a lot about raising my family here and if I wanted to stay here, and I knew for sure that this was the place. When my family grew, my daughter was born, I began looking for a forever home, and we did consider Oklahoma City, we considered Sequoia neighborhood, but I just knew downtown was it. My husband owns a business that's been in business here in Shawnee for, years now, since 2007. We're really happy to own 2 buildings downtown, and not just that, but our home as well. And raising my kids here has been the greatest joy of my life thus far. Ward 3, I would argue, sees the biggest brunt of this community's challenges. I don't think anybody can dispute that, between homelessness and economic insecurity, childhood hunger, etc. But we also see the most immediate impacts of what we do in this room and what we do through our nonprofit work and through our work as a community. And I've seen the ripple effects of that. I have really enjoyed being on the front lines of that as well, both in servitude and personally. And again, I think that although we are facing a great deal of challenges here, I want to argue the sentiment of this community that great things are on the horizon, because I think great things are happening now. Between the public parks that we mentioned, between all of the work that these nonprofits are doing, I am seeing a tremendous work, and I would be honored for the opportunity to continue that and keep growing this community. So with all that being said, thank you so much for your time. Thank you again. I hope you'll consider me.
Thank you very much. Okay, next up is Yana Frazier. How are you, Yana?
Hi there. Thank you for making time to see me today. I've been in Ward 3 for 25 years. I'm a descendant of Sac and Fox and absentee Shawnee that were both here in Shawnee area before Oklahoma was a state. I've spent the last 25 years chasing my kids. We started out with Mom's Day Out at St. Paul's and went on to Head Start at Crossroads, and then I followed my kids through grade school as an Indian Ed advisor, and today I'm at the middle school where I'm the attendance lady, and my kids are starting to go to college, and I have some time. I got 2 out of 3 that are at OSU, and my last is a junior at high school. And in the meantime, between chasing these kids, I started doing board service. I worked with Shawnee Schools Gifted and Talented Committee for a few years, and then Education Committee within Sac and Fox Nation for a number of years, and currently serve as treasurer of the Sac and Fox Housing Authority. I've been there 5 years now. We made it through COVID. We made it through the tornado. Big challenges. One thing I love about this is y'all have council meetings just like my tribe. They're a lot tamer than my tribal meetings, but it looks good. A lot of them are women that are at our meetings, and that's a big thing that's with us, where we had women chiefs and women were in leadership. And out of my service with the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority, I have only missed 2 meetings out of this past 5 years. And I currently have the blessings of my tribal leaders to participate with you and your city council. And I understand the heavy responsibility of this position, and I really would like to be a part of your team. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have Robert Kyle. How are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing good. All right, Mayor Bell, commissioners, citizens of Shawnee, I'm going to use this time to be perfectly honest with everyone. I may not have the best stats or experience of most of the candidates that are here to fill the Ward 3 seat on the commission. I come from a humble background growing up in western Oklahoma. My parents worked hard to ensure my siblings and I would never lack anything. They instilled an unconditional love in us that carries us to this day. Mom and Dad always supported me when I would volunteer with the local Chamber of Commerce in Clinton. That was where I got a sense of having pride in my community. Emily Stratton, who was the executive director at the time, would let me work with her on the big events like the Home and Garden Expo and rodeo days, making sure posters and table tents got to businesses, and even getting press releases and availability to the local newspaper and radio stations. That sense of pride and community has stuck with me even after I left Clinton, even though it was dormant until I came to Shawnee almost 7 years ago. I began to channel that community pride through community renewal, where I would meet a lot of you either sitting on the commission or in the gallery or watching the live stream. That pride has also flourished every time I call a Shawnee Wolf or North Rock Creek Cougar game. And that pride even shows every time you come in and order a chicken biscuit or a chicken sandwich. Having pride in the city of Shawnee is one of the reasons why I would like to be on the Shawnee City Commission. The other main reason is this. A wise man, who most of us might know, once uttered these words: "Whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be a servant of all." I believe in order to lead a city like Shawnee, we must also be a servant to our citizens. I look forward to hopefully hearing from the citizens of Ward 3 and being a servant to them as well as lead them and our city to what lies ahead. A lot of people I have talked to about this have supported me in the decision. Some are sitting in the gallery and watching as I speak. Mayor, Commissioners, I look forward to hopefully joining you at that table.
Thank you very much, Robert. And just so everyone know, we did get an application from Tanner Kelly, and he has chosen to withdraw his application, so he will not be speaking. So, anyway, that is everybody that was given the opportunity to speak and be considered. So now we have to make a decision. Yes, ma'am. Very good. Thank you for pointing that out. So 29 is discussion, consideration, possible action to appoint a Ward 3 commissioner to complete the remainder of term expiring 2024. So that is where we are at right now.
That's just to clarify, this appointment, the next general election for it is June?
In June.
Period in April?
That's right. Filing period should be in April, and I think, is it June 18th this year? I think it's a little earlier. It's been in years past, but I'm thinking it's the 18th. So it's a very short-term appointment.
And based on the time frame, if I understand, just so we have all the parameters, if we don't make a decision tonight, it stays vacant until, because we have
Right.
60 days to fill.
That's correct.
That's my understanding.
Say that one more time.
If we don't fill it tonight, it would stay vacant until the June election.
Right.
Because we have 60 days to fill it.
Right.
Yep.
So I wanted that on the record for everybody to hear.
Yeah, so I think the point is that there wouldn't be a special election. It would just stay vacant, and that's a point well worth making.
Well, I'm appreciative of everyone that came tonight and put their name out there. I've been on that side of it, and it's nerve-wracking, and I don't necessarily think we can make a wrong choice tonight. I think we have 4 very viable candidates and 4 people that unquestionably love and appreciate their community, and so well, we only have 4 viable because one withdrew.
Oh, sorry,
So, yeah, I just appreciate people wanting to be involved, and hope that whoever's not selected tonight will continue to be involved and leading up to June and the years going through. So,
Yep, they have that opportunity coming up.
Thank all 4 of you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
It is the downside is there can only be one if we choose to appoint someone, and I know several that are on the, well, all of them have done great things for the community and have been supportive to the community, so that makes it hard.
Yep.
Makes it hard from this side,
Absolutely.
very hard from their side.
Yeah.
I was in their seat not that long ago, and it is nerve-wracking, and everyone that's applied, their heart is in the right place, and they all would bring different qualities to the table, and they're all, I believe, doing it for really good reasons and would add a lot to the commission. This is not an easy seat to be in.
No, not at all. I think they all represent themselves really well. Yep.
Like the voting booths that are sealed off and
Yeah, it doesn't work that way up here, though, does it?
it does not. yet.
It is.
So,
Is it working that we have, like, just because this is the first time I'm on this end of it,
Mhm.
someone has to nominate someone?
Yeah, so, I mean,
A second
that's-
or a not second, okay.
Yeah, so.
Require a motion,
Okay.
a second, for
Okay.
affirmative votes to appoint.
Mhm.
I very intentionally did not watch any previous meetings where appointments were made,
No.
because I didn't want to see how it went. I wanted to be as objective and clean as possible.
They've all been different. At least the two
They've all
I've
been
been-
They have all been different.
Different rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I know, just if we're in the discussion area of it, I know how many text messages or phone calls I have pertaining to each of the four. I know who, for those who have contacted me, I know who supports who or who thinks who should be it, and at that point for me, and I don't know if they've contacted just me or if they've contacted you guys too, that it's Ward 3 specific constituents who have called or texted or emailed. So I feel like it's our service then to, if they've made it known what they want, that we provide that to them. That's, unless I'm looking at it the wrong way, I feel like that's the best way to look at it.
We just each brings very different things. All good candidates, all different types of experience, all valuable.
The hard part is, with us up here, we have to disappoint 3 people
Mhm.
that have been good to the community.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean they can't run.
Yeah, in a
Right,
very,
absolutely.
very
And
short
I don't
period of
know
time.
Of the candidates, who's planning to run or who's not, I don't even know that that's a fair question. That'll be their
But
decision in April.
we'll find out soon enough, won't we?
Find out in April.
Yep. Yep.
Those were all really good speeches, too.
They were.
Mhm.
They were.
It's making me think.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and make a motion with a little bit of an explanation if I can.
Oh, floor's yours.
I'm just gonna make the motion. I can offer the explanation to the others.
Sure.
At a later date.
Sure.
I would make a motion to nominate Yana Frazier.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we got Darren offered the motion, Cammie has the second. Then we will call the question on appointing Yana Frazier.
I didn't get an option. I'll vote yes.
And it looks like it carries 4-1, so congratulations to Commissioner Frazier. And I think, let's see, our next item here is the swearing in. Item 30 is swearing in of Ward 3 Commissioner. So, Yana, if you'll come up front, Lisa's going to swear you in. And then if you'd like to get pictures or whatever you'd like to do, you're very welcome to do that. And I would get wherever you can get you a good picture, so just come right up and get you a good one if you're going to get one. And I know Susie's done one over there too, I'm sorry.
I'll let everybody do it. I'm so like, you're in my spot. Okay. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Yana Frazier,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will not
and that I will not
knowingly receive directly or indirectly
knowingly receive directly or indirectly
any money or other valuable thing
any money or any valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear that I will
I further swear that I will
faithfully discharge my duties as
faithfully discharge my duties as
Commissioner
Commissioner
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank
Now you got to come sit up here. There you go.
Thank you for having me.
And you're going to get to vote here in a minute. But you probably have to do that verbal. Yes. But you're going to get to learn this whole thing in the meantime.
So will mine.
So, yeah. So, item 31 is discussion and consideration of an appointment of a city commissioner to the Shawnee Beautification Parks and Recreation Committee. Andrea, you're up one more time.
Yes, one more time this evening. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. When our previous Ward 3 commissioner resigned, we lost our city commission representative on the Shawnee Beautification Parks and Recreation Committee, which is an advisory body to this governing body. So now that we have a Ward 3 commissioner, staff thought it best that we would bring this particular commission assignment back to the governing body for the appointment of, again, a city commission liaison to the 6 at-large members that are also on this Parks, Recreation, Beautification Committee.
Very good.
When are their meetings?
We can find out.
4 o'clock, and now I cannot remember the day.
Google.
Give me 1 minute.
Yes.
I think I can look this up.
Right if that two could do it.
Do what now?
Right if that two could actually do it.
Yeah,
It is a once-a-month meeting.
once a month.
So it would be November 16th, which Thursday?
Thursday, last Thursday.
Yeah, the third.
Third Tuesday.
Thursday
Third Thursday.
of each month at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. And, I mean, I would volunteer to do that. But if there's someone else that would really like to, like Cammie, if that's something you really like to do.
Were you volunteering down there too?
Well, 4 o'clock is something that is within my realm.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. It is one Thursday a month, thinking of ball games. Ball games are not on Thursdays.
I would enjoy
Yep.
it, but I feel overextended.
Okay.
Being a professional, I feel this
Okay.
way.
Is that something you'd like to do?
I'd like to volunteer for it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, we nominate Commissioner
There you
Bridges.
So, I think the motion was made by Daniel and seconded by Darren then.
I'll give you my voice vote now, yes.
Just because it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Are we ready to vote?
I think we are ready to vote. Let's call the question.
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier?
Yes.
Yours won't be added on this, but it will be
No. So,
5.
looks like it carries 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 abstention.
The
So-
official count though is 601, correct?
No,
501.
501.
5.
Wait,
Yes,
Is
sorry.
Commissioner Sehorn.
501, because we're missing one tonight. Yeah, it's getting late. Yeah,
We should have put him on there just to teach him a lesson.
there we go. Yeah, that's what we should have done. We should have appointed Mark.
Make him some business next year.
All righty. So, with that, item 32 is we are adjourned. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for everyone that applied, and have a great Thanksgiving.